I had a debt and a responsibility to those who could no longer live out their dreams. It now sat inside of me. And so just being mediocre, just being status quo wasn't enough. I just had to be better because I was still here to breathe this air. I'm still here to breathe this air. I longed to be better. And I had a deep desire for purpose, a deep desire to overcome. There's a quote by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Instead of teaching the task of the ship, teach them to long endlessly for the sea. This quote suggests that to truly achieve a goal, it's more important to inspire a deep desire for the end result. And so going back to that mirror that we were just talking about, in that mirror, I need you to long to be a better version of yourself. In that mirror, I need you to long to deeply understand your why and what motivates you. In that mirror, I need you to accept accountability and honesty. In that mirror, I need you to understand that you have to be who God has intended you to be. In that mirror, you need to understand that you have to challenge the status quo. In that mirror, you need to understand that people around you may not agree, but it's okay. Because surely they will not be able to deny, because your results and your success are going to speak for itself. So in that mirror, you have to ask yourself, what's next? Because you were not intended to sit in your pain. You were not intended to sit in your struggle. You are called to action, my friends. You are called to a greater purpose. So you have to connect with that purpose. You have to connect with that motivation. Thank you for allowing me to share this space with you, to stand here before you and with you. As I stand here, I stand as a man who is bare. I stand here as someone who has dealt with and gone through my own depression, anxiety, PTSD, amongst other things. But I also stand here before you as a man who has overcome those challenges, who is still working through his challenges, who is focused. And in my focus, I have found success after success. And even as I transition into this new life, I never thought that I would have the life that I have right now. Childhood trauma, adulthood trauma. Yet, I found a way to have success in my relationships, success in my career, success in special operations. I was the first executive coach enlisted in all the special operations, the first geospatial engineer in 75th Ranger Regiment, and just a myriad of other things that transpired over time. But today, my friends, we're all here for the same reason. Today, we're here because you want to find a way to overcome challenges, to overcome the struggle, to overcome pain. And as I share this space with you, I want you to know that I'm here with you on this journey. And I want to ask for your permission. Can I share this journey with you as we share this space? As we journey towards purpose, as we journey towards success, as we journey towards our winning season, because you're in this room, because it's time for you to have your winning season. So my friends, I'm asking for your permission. Allow me to presently support and be here with you on this journey. Can I do that? Is it all right? Can we do that together? There's a story about a man, a journeyman. And this journeyman was someone who just walked for hours and hours and days, and he found himself in a desolate place. It was late afternoon, getting ready to go into the evening. It was hot as all get out outside. You're talking about 110 degrees outside. And so he's walking and sweating, and In the distance, this journeyman could see two figures wrestling in the distance. There wasn't much around at this point in time. There weren't any trees that were full. The trees were even bare at this time, and even a river seemed like it was a day's walk away. But on this day, as the sun settled in the distance, he noticed something that caught his attention. Something so abnormal that even in his hunger, even in his thirst, he had to slow down and pause and watch. In the distance, he could hear the roar of a lion. He saw glimpses of the lion's mane. He saw glimpses of the lion's paws swatting in the air. What was this lion fighting? Or better yet, what was fighting this lion? And as he watched this go on, the lion began to tire. The lion's roar got a little quieter. The lion started to swat just a little bit less. And the lion was looking defeated. And the lion unexpectedly just turned and walked away, leaving. So this journeyman is filled with so many questions. He starts moving towards what was fighting the lion to see if the lion had defeated it or what was going on. He just had to know what was happening. So as he gets closer, he sees a man. His eyes were burning from the sweat. The journeyman was tired as well, but he knew exactly what he was looking at. He saw a man standing there drenched in his own sweat, drenched in blood and breathing heavy, but standing there boldly with nothing more than just a ragged pole in his hand. He was still watching the lion in the distance. This man was holding his ground. This man was clenching his pole as if life depended upon it. The journeyman couldn't believe what he was watching. The journeyman couldn't believe what God allowed him to witness. This man fought that lion with everything inside him and stood victorious. Victorious because now he could live to tell about it. Victorious in this moment, but what was this man protecting? What was this man fighting for? Why did he not run or hide? Instead, why did he stand his ground and go toe to toe with that lion? So many questions were overtaking the journeyman that he just inched closer. Because he had to ask the man why. He spent many years thinking that the lion was the fiercest thing ever. But yet here was a man that was still standing and fighting with everything inside of him. But everyone wants to be a lion. But there was a man. What I want to tell you, my friends, is that many of you will face a lion in life or have faced lions in life. Your lion may be your relationship. Your lion may be career progression. Your lion may be trying to put food on the table so your family can eat. Your lion may be dealing with your own mental health. Your lion may be dealing with your own fallacies. My friend, everyone has a lion that they have to face in life. And some face many lions in life. But I promise you that you are fiercer than any lion or any challenge that stands before you, my friends. Let me tell you something about the human heart. Because when you look at the human heart compared to the lion's heart, it is truly astounding in comparison. The lion's heart weighs about 3% of its own body weight. The human heart weighs about 4% of our own body weight. And my friends, I'm here to tell you that the 1% matters. The 1% to me says, oh my goodness, I have the ability to endure. I have the ability to overcome. The 1% makes a difference to me because no matter how I feel, I have to keep going. No matter how I feel, I must give more. No matter how I feel, I just have to endure because I have more heart. Use it. Learn the lessons in the moment. Don't just stand there, but keep growing. Keep moving. Keep going. The lion never stood a chance, my friends. The lion was tired. The lion was defeated. And this man, still ready to fight with everything that's inside of him, had defeated the lion and stood ready for another. So are you ready for another challenge? Are you ready to overcome the one you have so you can get ready for the next one, so you can be ready for purpose, for promise? There's a scripture, John 16:33, and I'm just going to paraphrase. In this world you have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome. God has already overcome. All we have to do is take heart. All we have to do is prepare and go and endure and overcome the challenges. So, my friends, I urge you to have heart. I urge you to pray for heart. I urge you to put the discipline in place so you can work for the heart that's required. Create mechanisms and systems that build up the heart to endure so you can go through the trouble that's going to be there, because the promise is already there, but you have to be willing and able to endure the moment to get there. Do you understand, my friends? Do you have the heart? Today we have a common goal, success and purpose. Each one of you, you stand here as warriors. Each one of you, you're here as a warrior, my friends, ready to sacrifice so others can benefit from the freedom, so others can benefit from the love. You aren't doing it just for you. You're doing it for a purpose. So who are you doing it for? Is it a promise that you made? Is it someone that you love dearly? Is it someone that you're grieving for? Or even if you are doing it for you, are you doing it for the little girl that's inside of you? Are you doing it for the little boy that's inside of you that always had a dream, that always wanted more, that always wanted to progress, that always wanted to win? Are you doing it for that person? Because if you are, that puts us in a posture to where we can push past fear, that puts us in a posture where we can overcome pain, that puts us in a posture where no matter what surrounds us, no matter what challenges are before us, we can overcome it. No matter what the odds say, we can be over the odds. We can be the statistic that's not in the books. We can write it in there, my friends. I'm telling you, as long as you have the purpose and the drive and the why that's behind it, then you can overcome anything. We're able to keep going. No matter when quitting is staring us right in the face, when it feels easier just to give up, we know that we're not going to give up, but we are going to keep going. That's the spirit of a warrior, my friends. That's who you are. That is you. Every decision you've made in life has prepared you and postured you to be in the position you are right now. No matter what position that is, you are not here by accident. You are here because of a decision that you made. I am here. I am able to breathe this air with you, and I'm thankful for it. I thank God that I can spend this space with you, but I am here because of decisions that were made over time. And I will tell you that as you go through life, as you go through your entrepreneurship, as you go through your career progression, as you go through the things that you have already set as goals, a mirror is going to be the most important guide that you will have over the years. A mirror, my friends, is the most important guide you will have over the years. Let me tell you what I mean by that. There was a woman at an intersection. And I want you to visualize this intersection with me, like New York Times Square, where there's no vehicles moving. It's just directions to go, signs everywhere, and people standing shoulder to shoulder. It's a little damp outside. Moisture is in the air. The ground is a little bit wet. And this woman is standing in this intersection shoulder to shoulder with other people. And every time this woman tries to go in a certain direction, she bumps into someone else. And she says, "Excuse me. You're in my way." And each time this happens, "Excuse me, you're in my way." That person disappears. "Excuse me, you're in my way. Excuse me, you're in my way." And that person disappears. until eventually no one else is around. The woman is standing in that intersection alone, standing in that intersection without anyone else to blame for the lack of progress. And some of you in this room can relate to that. It resonates with you because you've been that person. I've been that person. No one else to blame, and you have to take ownership, accountability. And what I found is when I started being honest and taking accountability in that mirror, when I started to have some integrity and say, okay, it's not okay, you're not doing the right thing, you can do better, you're not doing your best right now, you're being lazy. When I started to take accountability, that's when I found success in my relationships. That's when I found success in career. That's when I started to find success in business, is when I started to take accountability, because the mirror never lied. I was the one who lied. So, are you the one who's lying? Or are you in the mirror taking accountability? Are you in the mirror taking ownership? Are you in the mirror with integrity and saying, okay, I can see what I need to do better here? When I look back on the many things that God has blessed me to accomplish over the years, I didn't do it for any prize. I didn't do it for any promotion. I didn't do it for any award. I did it because it had to be done. I did it because I no longer wanted to look my kids in the face and accept being broke. I mean, we're just being honest, right? I didn't want to do that anymore. I was good because going backwards wasn't an option. I couldn't fail. I had a lion that I was facing. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I was starting my life over. And for me, that was from the ground up. I left everything behind. The home I was staying in needed some work. This was in the middle of winter time, and I remember how cold it was outside. I go into the house, and it's even colder inside the house. The house didn't have any electricity at the time or running water for the first few days that I stayed there. And this first night, I walk in with my bag. I had a red and black bag. Still got that bag somewhere in my house today, but I walk in with my bag with all the things that I had in it. I pull out my sleeping bag. I had clothes in there too. Pull out my sleeping bag and I roll it out on this cold floor and I laid on it. And I remember laying on this cold floor with my head on this bag, everything that I owned at the moment, and tears rolling down my face because the pain was too much, because I was almost 30 years old. I was coming up on my 30th birthday. I had so much success previously, and I just couldn't understand how I found myself in this position. It's because of my decisions. But I found myself in that position. And I remember how cold that tear felt as it rolled down my cheeks. I woke up the next morning and I stepped outside, and I remember the warmth of the sun on my fingers, the warmth of the sun on my nose, the warmth of the sun on my cheeks. And in that moment, I began to remember what hope felt like. I began to hope again. And just like that lion and that journeyman, and just like that journeyman in that moment, he had so many questions. I had to ask myself, what was I fighting for? What was I protecting? What was I doing here in life? And as I remembered what I had to fight for, things began to change. I began to speak life into my situation. I began to speak life into my circumstances. Just like the Bible says that there is power in the tongue, I began to use it to speak life. And then I remembered that my sons were coming for Christmas, so I had about a month. And so at that moment, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't just sit here in my pain. I had to put a time limit on it because I couldn't sit there and wallow, because I had to get things ready. My sons were coming. I couldn't just sit there. I had to put a time limit on my pain. So I did. I said, okay, it's time to get up. It's time to get to work. It's time to do the things that I know that I can do if I just try, if I just pick myself up. Many of you are stuck because you stopped giving yourself a time limit. You allowed yourself to just sit there in your pain, and you're not giving a limit to the amount of time that you sit there before you can move on, before you can heal, before you can stand in your resilience, before you can stand in your power and your strength and make some progress. You just stood there blaming everyone else. You got to work through it because everything depends on it. Many of you may not know this, but I'm not a handyman. Some people know that. A lot of people know that, actually. But I would tell you that myself and YouTube University that year, we became best pals. YouTube University all day, because YouTube University was, hey, I may not have the money to go pay somebody to come fix my toilets, but guess what? I got to learn how to install them myself. I got to learn how to repair the floor myself. I got to learn how to break through these walls myself. I have to learn to do some things that I never did before because there was a time limit on the table and I couldn't wait. I had to get busy. And so I picked up some new skills during that time frame. I learned some things about myself during that time frame as I endured, as I went through the challenge that I was stuck with. And that year, my sons and I, we shared a bed that year for Christmas, and it was one of the happiest times that we had. One of the happiest times, just pure, unexplainable happiness and joy that we shared. And something in me changed. Something in me unlocked because I chose to face my lion. And I've never been the same since. Something unlocked to where I can't go back to the way I was before. I can't go back to the disbelief. I can't go back to the depression. I can't go back to the things that I was challenged with before because I've grown, because something inside of me unlocked when I realized that I could defeat the lion that was standing before me as long as I was willing to endure, as long as I was willing to pick myself up. And then I began to simply long to want to be better. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be better. And it all came to me. It wasn't just because of my sons why I needed to be better. I did it because I had a debt and responsibility to those who sacrificed so I could be right where I am right now, sharing this space with you. I had a debt and responsibility to pay to others. My ancestors who sacrificed, my ancestors who didn't have the resources, my ancestors who went without, but just held on to a hope, they just held on to a dream, and they made it tangible, they made it real, so others can grab onto it, so I can share the space, so you can share the space with me today, so we can be here together, so we can continue to fight for our goals, so we can fight for our dream, so we can fight for the passion that God has put inside of us. Our ancestors, I had a debt and responsibility to pay back, because they sacrificed. To my daughter, who I've had to say, I'm sorry, I gotta miss your birthday this year. To my sons, who I had to say, I'm sorry, I have to miss your event. To my wife, who I've had to say, I'm sorry, I have to miss another special occasion. There had to be an output, and if I just got better, that was a start. I had a debt and a responsibility to my friends who died in combat, to my friends who came home and died of natural causes, to my friends who never really left Afghanistan or Iraq, but came home and still fought inside until they said no more. And then they died of their own volition. I had a debt and a responsibility to those who could no longer live out their dreams. It now sat inside of me. And so just being mediocre, just being status quo wasn't enough. I just had to be better because I was still here to breathe this air. I'm still here to breathe this air. I longed to be better. And I had a deep desire for purpose, a deep desire to overcome. There's a quote by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Instead of teaching the task of the ship, teach them to long endlessly for the sea. This quote suggests that to truly achieve a goal, it's more important to inspire a deep desire for the end result. And so going back to that mirror that we were just talking about, in that mirror, I need you to long to be a better version of yourself. In that mirror, I need you to long to deeply understand your why and what motivates you. In that mirror, I need you to accept accountability and honesty. In that mirror, I need you to understand that you have to be who God has intended you to be. In that mirror, you need to understand that you have to challenge the status quo. In that mirror, you need to understand that people around you may not agree, but it's okay. Because surely they will not be able to deny, because your results and your success are going to speak for itself. So in that mirror, you have to ask yourself, what's next? Because you are not intended to sit in your pain. You are not intended to sit in your struggle. You are called to action, my friends. You are called to a greater purpose. So you have to connect with that purpose. You have to connect with that motivation. Today is a better day than yesterday. And I want you to know that you are bigger. You are bigger. You are bigger. Say, I am bigger. I am bigger. I am bigger than any challenge that comes before you. You are the giant, my friends. The mirror just wasn't big enough for you to tell. But I will tell you that you can be unstoppable. And with a team, you can truly be unstoppable, even to a lion. Thank you. That's my time.